Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the KTM build. We've got our bike here, the 2009 KTM 250 XCF, and it's all apart right now. All our parts, they're waiting. They're all cleaned up, polished up, and we got a few new parts waiting to go on. Today, it's gonna be pretty simple. Clean the carb and start putting everything back together. So here's our bike. It's about as clean as it's gonna get. Polished a few things up. Tried to get this swing arm polished just a little bit, and everything else has been cleaned up. It's really hard to tell that this has been cleaned up because of how caked on the dirt was. You can tell that it is still pretty stained. But we're not trying to win any beauty contests, so that's just how it's gonna be. And then one thing I did off camera, I went ahead and changed the countershaft seal here. So now we got a nice fresh Moose Racing countershaft seal kit in there, and it looks really good. Hopefully by the end of this episode we'll have everything mounted back up except for what I'm waiting on, which is the bar clamps, new bars, and grips. Unfortunately, after I bought those parts, I was informed that they were back ordered and it would be like a month before I got them. So that's cool. So real quick, if you got a KTM, comment down below. Let me know what you got. This is the first KTM that I've worked on, so it's been all right. KTM does things a little bit differently. But anyhow, enough talking. Let's get to it. Alright, the carb's all set. Obviously you can see there. Chunk of that shit busted off. Of course, something had to happen. We're gonna see how it runs. Hopefully that doesn't affect it too much, if any. But we'll have to wait and see. Alright, so next we're gonna get these forks on here. So I've already cleaned out the seals. Cleaned the actual forks off, and then because these are full wrap fork guards, they gotta go on beforehand. Alright, we got the oiled air filter back in there, and now for our battery. Hopefully this sucker fits. Alright, looks like it does. That's basically my only worry. The old battery just seemed to be dead, and seemed to have been dead for a long ass time. It still tried to crank over at least, so I don't think it was the starter. Or that, I don't know if they call it like a little solenoid or anything like that for the starter, so that should solve all our problems. right, now I can put the seat back up. Now the rear tire isn't in too bad a condition, but this front, I mean, it's pretty much shot. You got knobbies peeled off all around this thing, but I'm not gonna be running any new tires. Alright, so on this back fender we got a few stress marks going on here from flipping it, and we're gonna see if we can get those popped out real quick. That's going to help out, at least when we polish things up. So here's where we're at. Basically, just missing the handlebars and bar mounts. Looks pretty good. Not going to say it looks the greatest, but it does look pretty good. So that's going to be it for me tonight. Those are the only leftover parts we have. Skid plate, I'll throw that on at the end after I change oil and everything. And then I'm not sure if I'm gonna toss those Cycra handguards back on there. Comment down below if you think if you like the look before or if it should just be nice and clean. We'll see. I'm kinda leaning towards not putting them on and either just selling them or putting them on a different bike. And then we'll wait to put the number plate on. So yeah, I'll see you when I get the rest of my parts shipped in. Whew, that probably only took a second for you, but it took 28 freaking days since the last time I filmed this build. And that's because I was stupid and I bought parts off of eBay and it took forever to get here. So that's done with. We got the parts. That's all we needed. Set of bars, set of clamps. Got some janky grips. Classic eBay stuff. We're hopefully gonna finish up the build today. We've got our nice little heater from 1972, pumping a little somewhat warm air in here. And we're working in some tight conditions here, but should have this all together. Hopefully, fingers crossed, starts on like the second kick. Put it on Craigslist, be done with it. So let's get to it. I didn't realize on these KTMs you can basically have two different mounting points. You can, move the whole bar setup forward. What is that? Maybe close to half an inch. I'm just gonna go where it originally was. It's funny, these grips that came with it, I don't know if they were trying to be like Pro Taper billow top grips, but they're, I don't know if those are gonna be comfortable or not, but that's what I got. I just went ahead and got all that junk wired up there, looking all right. All right, so I was wondering why the throttle cables were so tight. Now, if we take a look over there on my Honda, it comes off the throttle tube. goes down here and it goes in between the steering stem and the right fork there. With KTM, I tried doing that the same. That's why we're running into issues, because this too tight. Basically what they do is they run it from just off the top of here and it goes off this side of the bars and just goes feeds straight down. So that's gonna solve all my issues. Even though these bars are just like, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch longer on each end, it's not that much where it would affect it to the point like this. So it's better to double check, figure out what's going on. So I gotta undo the assembly, feed it through, and then we'll be set. All right, we got everything dialed in. Throttle cable routed back behind the bars, solves all the problems. And now, since everything else is orange, might as well replace that guy with that. Luckily, these things aren't stripped out, which I don't know how many are, 90% of them. Brake fluid doesn't look too terrible. It's something that I never looked into, but just topped it off a little bit. Able to swap the diaphragm from the old one to this one. There we go. I'm not sure what type of bend we got going on those eBay handlebars, but it's safe to say it's a pretty solid angle. All right, so we're winding things down. I'm gonna change the oil real quick and then we'll throw on the skid plate and hopefully fire it right up. Okay, I went ahead and did the oil change. It looked pretty much fresh. Just kind of like the guy had said, it had been freshly serviced, so kind of better to be safe than sorry. But that's changed. Skid plate back on, and let's see how long it takes to fire this thing up. This has the electric start on it, but I'm gonna try and fire up here. Well, she fired up right away. Idle was, for some reason, turned way up. So I'm hitting the electric start right now, and before I tore everything apart, it was actually trying, you know, basically old battery in it. At the moment, nothing. I'm gonna have to pop off the seats, follow wires, make sure everything's plugged in tight. All right, so I got stuff hooked up here. Basically a little jumper here. At least it's trying a little bit. I don't know if this, maybe this does need a lithium-ion battery. So I went and tossed the original battery back in it, and this is what we get now. It did pretty much the same thing with the jumper hooked up, but here it's trying, but battery's dead. So I'm going to put that one on the charger, put this one on the charger, and make 100% sure that they can hold the charge, and then probably off camera, you know, whether it's either these batteries are both shot or one of them works. Depending on what happens, I'll just toss it in off camera. All right, guys, there it is. It's all finished up. Everything's been adjusted. It's all dialed in. Got a bunch of fresh parts on there. It's all cleaned up. Looks good. The only thing that I could have replaced that I didn't is this sketchy front tire. It's still got some tread on it, but it's old. and needs to be replaced. With parts like that, you can either go all out and you know, spend some money, get some new tires, or you can just hope to get by with what's there. You know, that's not definitely not the worst front tire I've seen, but decided it was in the best interest of money to not go for it. I've fired it up quite a few times here, and it fires up pretty well. All brake components are working, and all suspension components are dialed in, adjusted. The only thing I had to adjust was the clutch just a smidge. Usually stuff just gets messed up when you take apart all the cables and everything. The only thing that I gotta work on is that electric start, which I think will just come down to buying a lithium-ion battery that has enough cold cranking amps to fire this thing up. Got some fresh spiky pillow tops there, little fresh tusk cylinder cap. Those bars and the bar clamps, obviously they're, you know, trying to look like they're a legitimate product, but they're actually just kind of knockoffs. The bar clamps, just anodized aluminum. They fit really good. I was surprised. Everything else looks good. Kill switch works. All levers are working good, nothing bent. That seat cover is basically brand new. I didn't put it on, but previous owner did. And then on the back you got your orange chain and sprocket combo. As you can see on these rims here, they used to be solid black. Not so much anymore. And that kind of went into my thinking as far as the next owner, you know, if they wanted to basically get these wheels stripped, blasted, and then powder coated, they would most likely throw on some fresh rubber. But yeah, there it is. There's the beast. All put together. Thank God it fired right up. Didn't really have to mess with anything aside from the idle adjustment. So it's dark out now, probably tomorrow. Gonna run out in the woods, maybe do another quick test ride, and also take some Craigslist pictures. Get some good ones out up in the mountains, and of course some good ones to throw on Instagram. So there we go, got the bike all dialed in, and I'll see you out in the woods tomorrow. There's the lovely bike, she's looking good. I'm gonna fire it up here. Might just take it for a rip up the road. Like always with these things, get them all cleaned up, and you just want to sell them and not get them all dirty again, so you have to clean them again. So there you have it, refurbished 2009 KTM 250 XCF. As far as I can tell, I mean, I took a rip up into the mountains and I don't know, it's like 25 degrees out. So I didn't come dressed for riding. Hands about froze off within the first couple hundred feet, but it runs good after firing it up a couple times and you know, warming it up. It runs really good, so I'm always happy when we don't have to go back and tear things apart just to get stuff adjusted. So either in a later video or maybe the end of this one, I'll go over the cost of everything. I didn't put a whole lot into it. Basically just cleaned it up and put the bare minimum that I could. And you know, like the bar setup and everything, just went with you know, the eBay special. I went that route instead of, you know, buying like a Pro Taper kit or Mika Metals or something like that. So yeah, I bought this bike for pretty cheap, didn't put a whole lot into it, and I really don't know what I'm gonna get out of it. I mean, it's an 09, it is a KTM, it's 250. Don't really know. You know, best case scenario, I get upwards of like 3,500 for it, but like I said, who knows? We'll test the market, see what happens. Hopefully get this sold by the end of the year. I'm not the biggest fan of KTM older models, and by older I mean like prior to 2012, so I probably won't be picking any more up unless it's a super good deal like this one. So this might be the last little bit of orange you see on the channel for a while. Like always, down in the description, tons of links you can check out. Of course, got the Wild Moto shop you can go check out. Got decals in there. By now there's probably a little bit of merch, super limited merch, and if there ends up being a little bit of demand, I'll try and make some dope hoodies, dope shirts, you know, the usual. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.